I was very skeptical going into this film, as many franchises create follow-up movies in order to make more money, rather than expanding the story in a compelling way. However, I'm glad to say that this movie holds its own weight. So much so that whenever I watch Gladiator 1, I'll probably watch the second one right after. Whilst the first act doesn't really hook you in straight away, as the movie could be a little snappier and to the point, it gets better as time goes on, as tensions grows from characters simply trying to survive into trying to achieve bigger dreams. The gladiator battles in the Colosseum are a lot larger in scale than the ones in the original film, as they include really cool set pieces with rhinos and sharks. It was really fun to watch, and so the action tops the first film. However, the film doesn't hook you in due to the gladiator fights. It's the story that's the selling point of this film. Paul Mescal was another reason why I was skeptical going into this film, as I'd never seen him in a movie before. But I have to say that he really stood out to me. His stance was intimidating, his speeches got better as the film went along, and his rage could be seen through his eyes, which is very important as the film reminds us that rage is the reason as to why he's special in the eyes of Denzel Washington's character, who by the way is brilliant in this film. In fact, the entire cast is great. The antagonists are just as victimized as everyone else in this movie, really showing the corruption of Rome. It's interesting because the characters aren't particularly portrayed as complex when you're introduced to them. However, as the story unfolds, you learn more of certain characters, and everyone's complex motivations makes it clear that everyone suffers from Roman corruption. Also, there are some pretty heartfelt moments within the film that gives viewers hope that a broken and corrupt Rome can be restored, particularly between the scenes of Lucius and Jugurtha, who had the best chemistry on screen together, and whose conversations impact Lucius's ideologies in the future. Whilst the story is good, it also doesn't really try anything new from the first film, which is probably the film's biggest criticism for me. Throughout my viewing experience, I kept thinking, hey, this happened in the first film, which will probably discourage a lot of people from rewatching this film. Is it as good as the first film? No, not for me. However, if you enjoyed that film, then you should definitely watch this one, as it both holds its own weight and respects the original film. Before we continue talking about the film, we are entering spoiler territory. And if you're enjoying the video so far, consider liking and subscribing, as I want to hit 1,000 subs before the end of the year. Now, part of the reason as to why I said the characters seem a little bit surface level is because of the first act. The opening action sequence is really cool and clearly portrays the strength of each character and sets up Lucius's motivation. But I do have to say that the movie can be a little snappier up until the first gladiator fight scene. I don't need to see Lucius take care of a broken arm for 5 minutes. However, the film certainly becomes more engaging after that first gladiator scene, as we become a lot more invested in not only Lucius, but also Pedro Pascal's character, who was revealed to dislike the Roman Empire, and so I was hooked to see what Lucius would do to Pedro once they fought against each other. After that point of the film, I really want to see Lucius succeed even more as his character transformation evolves from wanting vengeance to wanting to fulfill his father's dream of a Rome that isn't just death and destruction, rather a Rome where people live and fight for a country they're proud of, which becomes more powerful as he had to earn everyone's respect through his speeches and fights within the Colosseum. Lucius learns a lot from Jugurtha, a man who has had the misfortune of being a gladiator, however decides to turn his life around and save people's lives rather than taking them. And as time goes by, Lucius develops trust in this man due to his ideologies being similar to his own. This is where I'll praise this character's transformation even higher than I already have. However, the issue is that it's almost the exact same as Maximus' character transformation in that first film. So once again, this film is slightly held back from not exploring enough new themes. Also, remember how I said the antagonists are complex and intimidating? Yeah, that doesn't really apply to the emperors. I get that it's kind of the point to portray them as morons, and the actors do a great job at that. I just wish they were a little more threatening. It also harms Denzel Washington's character, as his rise to the top seems very lackluster to me. All he had to do was manipulate this guy, which, I mean, anyone could have done based on how this movie portrays them. I am so glad there isn't a massive battle between 10,000 soldiers, rather a one-on-one fight that significantly impacts Rome's future. The film portrays corruption very well, as you can tell no one actually likes living in Rome. So when this savior suggests peace, everyone's on board. So I'll give this movie a very solid 8 out of 10, and will probably rank pretty high in my upcoming video, ranking every movie I've seen in 2024, which will release at the end of the year. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, you guys will get a worst to best ranking of every Uncharted game next week. So I'll see you guys then. See ya.